Hi, everyone. My name is Tyler Smith. I'm the Associate Director of Financial Aid here at the GSB. And today I am joined by my colleague, Liz.
Hi, everyone. Good morning from Northern California. I'm Elizabeth Yamas. I'm currently serving as the Interim Director of Financial Aid. And I've been with the GSB for about 3 years and in financial aid for 16 years. So quite a bit of time. Excited to be here.
Thanks, Liz. So today, Liz and I are going to just be walking through some common questions we get here in the financial aid office from students, from prospective students, and just kind of go over them and use this opportunity to kind of cover these topics. And also, we have the Q&A section as well. We're joined by two of our financial aid counselors, Ryan and Yasmin. They'll be in there to answer any questions that you might want to type in as well. And towards the end too, we'll leave some time for Liz and I to answer some of those questions live in front of all of you as well. But let's go ahead and kind of like get started with some like the first and biggest question. So Liz, as these prospective students, they're beginning to start their research into their MBA, and they're finding out that there's many different avenues they can go down, and there's many different ways schools do financial aid. Some are merit-based, some are merit and need-based, and the GSB is purely need-based. So I'd love to hear from you why the GSB is need-based and what's the philosophy behind that?
Yeah, and so everyone is on the same page just to make sure. The difference between merit and need, essentially the merit financial aid is awarded at the discretion of the institution based on your individual achievements or other attributes of how they want to award. And a need-based system essentially is based off the need of the individual, and that's usually a financial need of the individual. And so the GSB is a need-based institution, and there was lots of reasons why we went to need-based, but we did have 3 guiding principles that we wanted to achieve with whatever financial aid system that we implemented. And so the first one was excellence. No matter what we chose, we still wanted to deliver the best class possible, right? An excellent, diverse class. The next one was access. So the student, whoever receives financial aid or is coming to the GSB can have the same experience as anyone else. So there's that access to the educational experience. And then overwhelmingly, when we reached out to community members like students and staff and faculty and alumni, the idea of fairness was really important to the GSB. Everyone who's admitted has worked so hard to get into the GSB that they should have the same opportunity for aid. And there's a fair and transparent process. And so when we boiled all that up, it really overwhelmingly was a need-based system. And although merit is great, the need-based system really serves the mission and the purpose of the GSB. And then, as just a side note, what we also loved about a need-based process, a need-based system, was the overall indebtedness of the students once they left the GSB. Because when you're awarding aid in a need-based system, you're awarding it to the neediest students. And so you find that the indebtedness overall of the institution is driven down as well. So those were the main reasons, the main principles of why we chose a need-based system.
And so obviously, our need-based system is going to be going to the neediest of students. Can you tell me more about kind of like what are other opportunities students use to fund their MBA while they're at the GSB?
Yeah, so the main source of funding that we offer is the fellowship funding, which is based on that need-based system. And fellowship funding, of course, is free money that you don't have to pay back, right? It's how we distribute our free money is through need. The average fellowship is about $40,000 per academic year. So for a 2-year program, the average is about $80,000 that we're awarding to students. And then besides the fellowship funding, of course, there's loan funding, and that's part of financial aid as well, that there's loans. And for GSB students, because we have a great US citizen base, but also international students, there's loan eligibility for not just our US students, but also for international students. So those are the main sources of aid from our office, but there's also lots of external aid that students bring with them, like employer sponsorship or external scholarships, or family members that want to help support them that are giving them gifts, or family loans. So there's lots of different ways to kind of create your overall package or your overall financial aid situation.
That's great. So let's like, I guess, walk through this. So I am an admitted student. I just got into GSB. I'm super excited, and the first thing I know I need to do is apply for financial aid. So let's like walk me through the process, the timeline, and just what happens.
Yeah, so the key there is really that you're applying for aid after you're admitted. So there is no process before you're admitted. So once you're admitted, you receive the information from our office to apply, and we do have a customized student financial aid portal, which you will access. And the portal populates based on your individual attributes like citizenship or marital status. And that's where you submit, securely all this information that we need to review your financial aid application to our office. And once we've done that, once we reviewed all your documentation, then we issue you the award letter. And so that timeline is really, you're admitted, you apply for financial aid, and then we want to issue you that award letter before you have to accept your admissions offer. So you're making an informed decision. You have all the information you need up front to really understand what you're committing to, and then you can accept your financial, or you can accept your admissions offer. And then, through your whole life cycle as a matriculated student, we will have you reapply for financial aid or renew your financial aid application in your second academic year. So we'll work with you throughout, your entire GSB career.
Sure. And what is exactly the financial aid looking at whenever they are assessing need for a student?
Yeah, so we're trying to assess your overall financial aid situation or your overall financial aid strength. So when, most commonly what we're going to ask for is some historic information about your income. And we look at 2 years of your financial aid income, but also with a need, or your financial income past 2 years. With a need-based system, we also want to look at other considerations that really holistically give us an idea of your financial situation, because just looking at 2 years of your income doesn't always tell the whole story. So we want to understand as well, are you supporting family members? Do you have, medical expenses that we need to be aware of? So we are looking at prior year's income, but we're also looking at your current situation and really your overall financial situation. And then additionally, when we're new this year, which we're really excited to talk about, is we are implementing a new what we're calling the BOLD Fellowship, and it's the Building Opportunities for Leadership Diversity Fellowship. And this is in addition to our need-based fellowship. And so the biggest difference between the BOLD Fellowship and the need-based fellowship is the BOLD really assesses your family's financial need, not just your individual financial need. So it's one step further to understand the full financial picture for you and your family. And it is similar to the need-based process. You apply once you're admitted, and then we'll notify you for BOLD or for the need-based fellowship at the same time.
Cool. And so what would happen if the financial situation of a student changes in the, it's a 2-year program? What if something happens, changes in the middle of it?
That's common, right? I mean, with a need-based system, it really is your individual need and your financial situation. And we do often see that it can change, but from the time that you're admitted to sometimes in the middle of your program. And so we have avenues for you to report this new information to us, because we do want to know when your financial situation changes, so we can reassess your overall financial strength. And we can do this at any point while you're a student at the GSB. So there's ways to report that information to us, and we encourage our students to do that, because it's, applying before you accept your admissions offer doesn't mean you're in the same financial situation once you've matriculated. So there's that open channel of communication throughout your entire program.
That's great. So, a question that I feel like we get a lot, we have people in armed services from around the world including the GSB. And in particular, in the US, there are programs like the GI Bill, Yellow Ribbon. Could you walk through for us in the crowd kind of what that means and what the GSB does with that?
Yeah, so the GSB is a yellow ribbon approved school. So this is chapter 33 with yellow ribbon. And so our benefit for our veteran students, US veteran students, is it covers full tuition and mandatory fees of the university. So essentially you're 100% covered for those items. And then on top, if you have never accessed your yellow ribbon before, in addition to the payments that they make towards your direct costs, the tuition and the fees, you're also eligible for a monthly housing stipend from the VA as well. So you're receiving a monthly stipend as well as they're paying, and the GSB is committed to paying those tuition and fees in conjunction with the VA.
And so, I think there's a lot of our students, they're socially minded, and after they graduate, they go into a nonprofit or they go to government work. I think a lot of people are interested in loan forgiveness programs, and in particular, we have a strong one here at the GSB that's kind of separate from some of these national ones that we see, federally sponsored ones. Can you tell us a little more about exactly what the loan forgiveness program looks like at the GSB?
Yeah, that's a great point, because for US citizens, or if you've had financially before, you may be aware that the government, the US Department of Education, has their own loan forgiveness program for nonprofit work or public service work. The GSB has a completely independent loan forgiveness program that is ran by us. It's our own funding. It's our own program, and we've had it for over 10 years. It's a very well established program, and it helps students who decide that they want to go into the nonprofit or public sector as a GSB alum. Typically, those can be lower income or lower salary fields. And so this loan forgiveness program by the GSB is to help you repay any educational loan debt you acquire while you're here. And this could be for international students. This is for US students. And the great thing about our program is you can come in and out of it. So if you leave the GSB and you decide you're going into the private sector, and then, down the road, you realize that you found your passion in nonprofit, as long as you have your educational debt, you can participate in this program. So it's always there. And what it does is it gives you essentially your monthly payment plus your interest payment up front, so you can pay back your loans for a certain period of time. And we have our students apply for this program every 6 months, but it's a wonderful program. We have a lot of students who are utilizing it. And we've had students who have successfully repaid their total educational loan debt just through this program. If you think that the nonprofit or the public sector is where you want to go, you can work internationally and access this program. So if you're going into an NGO, there's, you could qualify for this program as well. And there's tons of information on our public website about the program if you're really interested in it.
That's awesome. So a lot of the people or a good number of the people who are logged on right now probably could have applied in round one. So they're eagerly awaiting decisions that are going to be, I think, about a month away at this point. So as that's getting closer, Liz, what would you recommend some of those people start thinking about right now, as the admission might be just like on the horizon for them?
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge financial commitment. So understanding what the GSB offers up front, going through that information on the public website now is really important. One type of aid that I like to really reinforce, especially right now, even though you haven't even been admitted, is external scholarships. External scholarships can tend to be very underutilized at the GSB, but also elsewhere. And that's because the process to apply for an external scholarship, and this is really any scholarship outside of the GSB, independent of our fellowship, through other organizations, the process to obtain external scholarships can feel tedious, but the cycles in which they award external scholarships for, let's say, next fall, if you matriculate next fall, is right now. These scholarship applications are open now. So even though you're not admitted, this is the time when you want to start looking for external scholarships, because we do allow you to bring those into the GSB to help supplement any loans that you may need to take, or any other contributions. So we have some resources right now on the public website. We actually have a list of external scholarships that are available. That list is very specific to students who have received these scholarships at our university. So don't limit yourself to that list. Use it as a jumping off point. That's where you want to start, but definitely don't limit yourself to it, and start applying now. Like, now's the time to do it, because once you're admitted and then you're thinking about it, maybe over the summer before you actually matriculate at the GSB, those applications are already closed for the upcoming academic year. So now is the perfect time to really start exploring that. And then finally, one thing that I talk about a lot with students is really budgeting and understanding what the cost of attendance means, because the cost of attendance you can find on our website. And for any institution, really, what a cost of attendance is made up of is direct and indirect costs. And a direct cost is something that the university will directly bill you for, like tuition, like fees, those things that you have to pay. But the cost of attendance is also built around indirect costs. And indirect costs are, costs that we think that the student may need to attend this university. And those costs may not be true to you. So really building a budget around what you will need as a full-time student, and not just looking at the cost of attendance and assuming that is what I need, is really, really important to start understanding now, because you're going to make better informed decisions, especially as we consider loan opportunities or other funding that you may need, even if you're looking at external resources now. So that budget, what I really need, is really important.
I think this is a great time also now to look at some of the questions coming in from the people on the webinar right now.
Yeah.
And one that keeps popping up here, and I think would be great to chat about, is, we've talked a lot about our need-based financial aid system. And one of the questions is, are there any merit-based scholarships for students after they've already been admitted, after they've already matriculated, maybe based on grades or like kind of how they participate in the community?
Yeah, so for the GSB, we only award need-based funding. So we don't have any merit-based fellowships or any subsequent fellowships that we award after they've applied for financial aid. So really, the need-based is our primary source of fellowship funding. There are other fellowship opportunities at the GSB that are independent from our office. For example, the Knight Hennessy Fellowship Program is out there, but the application process is similar to the application process for your admission. So that, there's independent from our office, there are some other GSB resources, but our office is only awarding that need-based aid.
That's great. And I see we're kind of getting a couple people in here. Not everyone who enters an MBA program is necessarily single. Some people come with spouses and they have children. So yes. How do we factor that into our decisions when awarding aid?
Yeah, that's a great question, because what you see on the website when you're looking at cost of attendance is we list a single cost of attendance rate, and then we list a married cost of attendance rate. So your costs are much different, and even when you add children into the mix, it can get a lot more expensive as well. So when we're assessing your overall financial need, we base your cost of attendance, which is part of our determination of what you need, on your overall expense for the GSB. And if you're married, there's greater expense for those children. So we are considering that there is a range of expenses based on your situation. Are you married? Are you bringing children? Or do you have children that you're supporting?
Great. Another question we keep getting popping up is, does the GSB offer full 100% financial aid coverage or meet need by 100%?
Yeah, so no, with the need-based system, we're awarding based on your individual needs. So, and when we talk about 100%, there's lots of different ways to look at it. So it's important to understand what 100% means to you. So for tuition and fees, which are direct costs or direct billed costs of the university, there is a possibility, based on your need, that you can get pretty close to that total expense. But when you're looking at your overall cost of attendance, that includes living expenses, these kind of indirect costs. There's not a fellowship specifically that covers the need-based fellowship that covers that entire amount. Programs like the Knight Hennessy Fellowship, which is independent of our office, that does cover closer to the total cost of attendance, but we do not have a program specifically or need-based program that covers that total amount.
That's wonderful. I got a couple questions here too for people who are coming from maybe another master's program or they're coming from their undergrad. How are we assessing their financial situation, who maybe are unemployed or they're currently maybe on another fellowship with their other master's program?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, when you apply for financial aid, we are looking at your current situation, but also what you're bringing. We're assessing your overall financial strength, what you're bringing to the table. So if we ask for 2 years of income and you don't have 2 years of income, then that's part of our understanding of your overall financial situation. So that that specific situation where you're an undergraduate student or you're in a master's program, so you're not working full time, is captured in our analysis.
Okay. And I'm curious, a lot of questions we're getting here from people, if they, when going through the process and they're supporting family members outside of their spouse or children, how is that factored into the need decisions?
Yeah, that we ask for that information up front when you're applying for financial aid, because it's important for us to understand not just, what your historic income might be or what you're bringing to the table, but where is that money going? And if you're supporting family members, we do give the opportunity for you to explain that in your financial aid application. And it is part of our understanding of your overall ability to pay for the program. Because if you're committed to continuing to support family members as a full-time student, we want to make sure that we can factor that in. So that is part of our understanding of your complete holistic picture, your overall financial picture and your overall financial situation. And so we will ask for that information up front, and it is part of our determination of your eligibility.
If a student's admitted and, every year some things come up and some students have to defer for another year, do they keep that same, and they're awarded need financial aid package? Does that stay the same, or is it going to be reassessed the following year whenever they actually matriculate?
Yeah, that's a great question. So your financial aid application and what we determine your eligibility is for your specific class, because we have one pool of money for your class that you're admitted into. So if you decide to defer, then you would reapply for financial aid in the year that you're going to matriculate into the program. So depending on the overall class and the need of the class, your financial aid could be very similar or it could be different. It just totally depends. So, but you will need to reapply.
Absolutely. And I think we're getting a couple questions about just how the loan process works.
Oh yeah.
Whenever a lot of students take out the loans, does the GSB offer any specific loans? And what do we do when we're certifying loans?
Yeah, so the GSB is not a lender, but we do help facilitate the process. So if you're a US citizen, you generally have two different loan buckets. The first one is federal loans, and the second one is private loans. And really how you decide to finance your education is totally up to you. Sometimes we have students who just want private loans. Sometimes we have students who just want federal loans, or sometimes we have a mix. And so for international students, we do offer 3 different private lenders that do not require a US citizen for you to obtain a loan. So you have some options about who you want to lend with. And for the US citizens, the loan process itself just totally depends on which lender you go with. So if it's a federal student loan, there's 2 different types of federal student loans that you could potentially access. One is the unsubsidized loan and one is the Graduate Plus loan. And the combination of those 2 loans together can help finance your education. And the interesting thing that we're seeing, especially this year, is that, you know, the US Department of Education actually sets things like the loan interest rate and the origination fee. And this year, the federal government has set much lower interest rates than we have seen before. At least I've seen in the last decade. They're going down, which is really kind of cool. So, you know, you have greater options between maybe accessing the federal loans, which, you know, don't require the interest rate's not based on your credit. It's essentially almost like an entitlement program. So you're eligible for it. Or you can go with a private lender. And private lenders, the way that the loans work with a private lender for international or for US citizens is it's based on your individual application as far as the interest rate, your repayment term, how long you want to pay off the loan, if the lender itself has any origination fees, although we see with private lenders, they tend not to have origination fees. So there's lots of different options. And what we will do is point you to those lenders, you know, the most common lenders at the GSB for international students, the 3 lenders that we offer you. And then you have the option to go through the process with the lender to understand what the interest rate may be or what you're, you know, what you want in a student loan. And then we will certify the loan once you've selected the one that you want. And that's really, you know, once we've certified, that's how they release disbursement to the university. So there's lots of different ways that you can approach how you lend. And the great conversations we actually have with our students is really around strategy, lending strategy. At what time during the academic year do you need to borrow? At what amount do you actually need to borrow? And that goes back to those indirect and direct costs. So there's lots of different ways to approach it, but we're here to walk you through that process.
Okay, great. Another great question I saw come through is, how are the students' admissions decision and their need tied? Are they taken into consideration either way, the financial situation?
It's actually not tied at all. So the admissions process is completely need blind. So you apply for financial aid after you've been admitted. So there's no correlation at all. It's completely independent, which, you know, really ties back to the fairness that we wanted to establish with a need-based program, where everyone who's admitted or worked so hard to get admitted should have the same opportunity for aid. And that comes after you've been admitted into the program.
Great. And we're getting here on time, so I am going to ask one last question from the group. So we've got someone here. It looks like they're a little farther out from applying.
Okay.
And they're asking, what should they start doing to prepare financially for their MBA in the coming year before they apply?
Yeah, I want to bring it back again to the external scholarships. This is the time that you want to start looking and researching external opportunities now. That's one of the most underutilized forms of financial aid, and the application cycles for external scholarships are always from the year prior. So students who may be matriculating fall of 2021 should start applying for external scholarships now. Otherwise, if you wait too long, it will close. So those applications will close. So start looking into that now. Start preparing those now if you can.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for attending. Liz, thank you for answering all these questions. I hope they were all helpful for everyone here. And please, if you have any other questions, our website is stocked full of information. Check it out. And maybe we'll be seeing some of your faces on campus next year. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.